Okie dokie. Technique video. This is going to be really hard to do and really mediocre because my current camera setup is my phone. So bear with me. Technique is not something that you're going to get in a week or maybe even 2 weeks, but it is something you're going to get in a month. I will attach, well, I'll send you the, I got 2 videos, one of my first day playing and one of my second day playing, to show you what it looked like then versus now. But it'll clear up pretty darn fast. So let's just get the proper way to hold the banjo. So ideally, you can't see my legs. Let's see if I can get my chair up here. You can kind of see my lap now. Okay, so what you want to do is, a lot of people, you'll see they have it over to the side of their lap, kind of off their right leg, or balanced on their right leg. This is really good because it keeps it up high and it's not so difficult to reach these frets up here. While we're going over technique, I might as well tell you that above the 5th fret, this is above the 5th fret, this is below the 5th fret. Below the 5th fret, right in here, this is where all your playing happens. All this stuff is just for show and to make it look good. All this stuff up here this is where the magic happens. So, makes it real easy to reach this bit up here. Something you're going to naturally want to do is put it in your lap, between your legs like this. There's nothing wrong with this either. This is wonderful. What you're probably never going to want to do is put it on your left leg, because that's just difficult to reach and looks stupid. So don't do that. It's generally a good idea. Man, I'm like, the frame of this thing is just horrible. Anyway, hug the banjo to you. Mine has this nifty little armrest thing, but this section of your forearm goes on the rim of your pot, and your arm stretches over, and if you can grab the neck right where it connects to the pot, just like that, that's right where your hand should be, and right where your arm should be. And then this arm like this. Very, very, very important for playing any stringed instrument ever. Keep your wrist straight. Always. Never, ever, ever do this. Because the way the tendons in your arm work, whenever you're like this and you move your pinky, you can feel it rub against your wrist, and that can cause tendon problems in that tendon. So always keep your wrist straight, like that. So like that, not like this. Get it? Good. Okay. So we're going to start with fretting first, because that's going to be a lot easier to explain than picking. So how you generally want to hold this is to take your thumb and put it, let's see if I can turn around here. Take your thumb and put it right on the back, just like that. That's pretty perfect. Once you get more comfortable, you can kind of like C-clamp it, you know, like you'd hold a fiddle or something. But for right now, either crook of your thumb or the meat of your thumb, not the meat of your thumb, the bone of your thumb, on the back like that. Keep your wrist straight. Come around here. And so your thumb's back here, fingers are here. Always make sure when you're fretting, get a nice clean fret. The very, very tip of your finger, these nails you got to keep pretty short. The tip of your finger contacts just that string in that fret that you want it to be at, right? And you can practice placing down fingers. Always come in kind of directly 90 degrees. There's no way to show this on this camera. Yeah, that's what I thought. Always 90 degrees. Don't come in across the strings, because if you come in across the strings, like if I got my finger here and I'm doing this, you know, if I'm across the strings, it's gonna go. Well, that sounded the same, didn't it? That was kind of stupid. Let's try this versus this. that is my fingers across the strings. This is 90 degrees. You get the idea. There's not really much to say about fretting. You'll just, that's the easy part. Like I said, you'll get the hang of that. No problem. And now the difficult part is going to be teaching you how to hit the thing in just the right way so that it makes music. And when I say hit the thing, you will be punching a banjo. That's how you play it. Okay, let's see here. So like I said, you got your, get up here. You got that part of your forearm here. You got your hand around that frailing scoop. And now what you want to kind of do with your right hand is make a semi-fist. It's going to look something like that. And in general, no matter what instrument you're playing, tension and being rigid is always the enemy of music. Now, this is kind of weird because you're going to have to keep that shape. So you're going to have to be rigid enough to keep that shape, but loose enough that you can move. And if it helps to like shake your hand out and make sure you got everything in there loose, absolutely do that. But the general idea of what you're going to be doing is use this as a fulcrum and just move your hand back and forth like that. That's all you're going to be doing, right, to play this. That right there. Anyway, so now what we probably need to get going is making a sound out of it. So the way I play, and there's a few different ways that people do this, but I use my middle finger, and yes, I am flipping you off, to play the first string, which is the one closest to my toes. Then I use my index finger to play strings 2, 3, and 4. And your thumb plays the 5th. And that's all there is to it. See you next video. No. Okay. So let's just practice hitting the first string. If you're wondering what tuning I'm in, my first string is tuned to a D, my second string to a C, third string to a G, fourth string to a C, and then my 5th string is G. Okay, this is an interesting tuning because 2 of your strings are C's, 2 of your strings are G's, so that's pretty cool. So let's work on hitting that first string. So like I said, all you're going to be doing, and make sure whenever you're holding this, whenever you're placing your right hand over the strings, your thumb is going to rest on that 5th string. So you can't see my strings really, but make sure your thumb is resting on that 5th string and just kind of make a fist over your other strings. This is going to be your neutral position. Okay, so if you just want to practice kind of coming down like this or in like this, just make sure your thumb always hits that 5th string. That's really important. Make a habit out of that, no matter if you're playing or just practicing this motion. Which, if you're sitting there watching TV, you can always practice this motion. If you don't want to make any noise, you can just kind of lay your hand over all the strings, just have a ball, right? It's pretty quiet, and it'll help you get the technique down. But anyway, technique. You're going to be using the back side of your fingernail. It may be, if you have really short fingernails, it may be better instead of using the tip end to use kind of the corner of your fingernail, so you might have to angle your hand just a little bit more. But the corner of the nail seems to get, everybody seems to be able to do that. But anyway, let's see if we can't get a noise out of this thing. So what you're going to be doing is just striking the first string with the back of your, like I was about to explain this, but I got sidetracked. Middle nail, right? Some people just exclusively use their index finger for all the strings. Some people just exclusively use their middle finger for all the strings. I kind of split, which works for me. You're going to have to find out what works for you, but I find this is pretty easy. So just hit your first string. Be sure your thumb comes to rest on your 5th. Don't be afraid to absolutely stare down what you're doing here and do it real slowly so you get an idea. That's where my string is. Now, it may seem kind of stupid that the majority of your hand is not in contact with the strings at all time, but that's why I'm telling you to put your thumb on that fifth string. It's called proprioception, something like that. Basically, you know where all your body parts are. You know what the banjo is like. Well, you will once you get more familiar with it. So you know where your thumb is. So without even looking, you know where all those strings are. Anyway, you're hitting that first string. Just practice that for a while. Just until you can get it consistently and you're getting a good sound out of it. Then move up, take your, in my case, my index finger, and try hitting that second string. Now this is where it gets kind of interesting because there's strings on either side. That first string is so easy because there's nothing on the other side. You can just go right through it, you know. And there's equal merit to coming down on top of it and going like through it like this, and also going down on it like this. You can do both. Try both. See what works. Okay, so we're hitting our second string, and try and go back and forth. And then once you do that a few times and kind of get familiar with that, third string, and then your fourth string, and your fifth string is your thumb. Okay, so now that you can kind of strike all the strings, well, practice that until you can get all the strings sounding good, or at least the first two or three, you know. So now let's try and strum. If you're in double C tuning, like I told you, if you take your first finger and you put it on your second fret on the first string, you get this nice little sound when you strum. So that's what I'm going to be doing this whole time. I really need to scoot down so you can see that. But anyway, so now we're going to try and strum. And some people just do it with one finger strum, which is fine. I do it with these two fingers. Some people do it with their whole hand. That sounds cool too. But that's the idea. So we're doing strum. And you can get it real fast like that, or you can go and really hear each of those notes, or you can, you know, that's more of a whack. But get a good strum out of it. Like that. And now try combining a strike on the first and second string with, first or second I should say, with a strum. So strike. Like that. Do that a lot until you can get that. And now we're going to add the thumb. So just a little bit of music theory. I was gonna try and make a video going over all the like folk music theory, but I think it's best to just sprinkle it as it comes along because you don't need to know anything about music to play a banjo. But it is helpful to know a little bit of it. So when you're counting music, all folk music is in 4/4 or 2/4, except waltzes, which is in 3/4. And that doesn't mean anything to you, and it doesn't have to. All you got to know is that your beats come in when you're counting, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? My hand is in two positions there. Whenever I'm counting 1, it's down. I'm not counting when it's up, and then it's down again. But while it's up, you can count that. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to count the ups as ands and say 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. It takes the same amount of time to count to 4. You're just adding an extra syllable in there to show that it's a separate beat. For example, right, versus. It took the same amount of time to do both those things. It's just there were 8 notes in one and 4 in the other. And you can speed that up as much as you want and do 16 or 32. But that's going to be really fast, obviously. So the way this strum works, and the way all folk music works, and I gotta wipe my nose because my allergies are killing me. But the way all folk music works is guitar, fiddle, whatever, banjo, all play it the same way. It's 1 and 2 and And all that and is I was saying quarter notes at first. 1, 2, 3, 4. Eighth notes are counted 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. 16th notes are counted 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You don't need to know that, but it's helpful to kind of get that rhythm in your head of because you're going to be going 1, which is going to be your strike, and So it's going to be a strike, and then a brush, and then a thumb. So think of, what can you say? Onomatopoeia. Bum diddy. Bum diddy. Okay? Sounds like this. And now you know how to play folk music. And that's the basics of it, and that's all you need to know right there is that. Practice that all the time, a lot, as much as you can, until you have it just ingrained in your bones. That So that's just me going down the strings and then up the strings. Practice it like that. Practice it only on the first string, then the second, and then the third, fourth. So you can do that reliably on all the strings. That's really all I can tell you in an easy way on this kind of video to do with technique. Probably the hardest part is getting that consistent strike, strum, thumb, but that will come with time. If it's slow and super deliberate, and you're looking at your hands and really having to deliberately make sure that you hit one note and then get a good strum and then get a good thumb, that is absolutely 100% fine right now. Because as you practice, like I said, it's not going to happen the first week. It's going to be pretty chunky. Second week, it's going to get a little smoother. Third week, it's going to be a little smoother. Fourth week, you're going to be able to do that. Okay, I'm gonna say a cut right there, and I'm gonna go into a few more advanced ways of playing. So come back to this later when you need it. You play notes with your right hand, but there's also ways to play notes with your left hand or get interesting sounds with your left hand. I'm just going to cover a few of those right now. So say I'm fretting my third string at my third fret, okay, and I strike it, I get that note. If I want to get an effect called a bend, all I do is move where my finger is within that fret. So you're going to bend it. Or you can bend it down or up. You can go like that. That's called bending a note. That one's probably one of the easiest. You can slide. So I'm going to be on my first string, sliding from my second fret to my fifth fret. And you can slide in all sorts of different places, forward or backward. Doesn't matter which. You're going to learn to employ these as you go. Nothing you need to know right now. Hammering on and pulling off are my favorite things to do because you can add them absolutely anywhere. So right now I'm at my second string, second fret. I'm going to strike it, and then using this finger I'm going to go and make a noise with it as my finger leaves the string. So if you strike it, you get this. You do it with first string, third, and so that is taking a high note and making it lower. But you can also take a low note and make it higher by really your middle finger has quite a bit of snap in it that you can get from your the muscles in your wrist, and we're going to use that to actually punch a fret like this. Right? So if you play a note, for example, I'm going to play the 4th string, and then I'm going to punch the hammer on to the 2nd fret. 3rd string, 2nd, 1st. That's how that works. So that's pulling off, hammering on, slides, bends. And another thing you might want to know is if you've got a bunch of single quarter notes in a row, so if you're going, you can add in between those your thumb, so you can go, instead of just, you can always add that. Your 5th string and your 1st string are made out of the same gauge wire, so they can be used interchangeably. If you fret your 1st string at your 5th fret, then your 1st and 5th strings are the same note, or close enough. Mine are, so it's just almost the same note right now. Yeah, that's about it for technique. That's a very short way to say it. Go back over this video and spend as much time as you need in the different parts. I haven't explained it just super carefully because I think it's better if you figure out some of it on your own, but that is the basics of what you're going to be needing to do. And the next thing I'm going to be going over is double C tuning. So yeah, have fun with that, or rather everybody else in the house, his ears will have fun with that. And we'll see you on the next one.